It's Wednesday today. Yes. Hey, kia ora. Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Surprise in Arizona. Hope you're having a super fantastic, sparkling day. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast number 1665. 52 places to go in 2024, part 3. Yes, we are on to part 3 of this long list. But I think we can get through the remaining ones. We're going to be starting on, oh, now I've got an itchy nose. We're going to be starting on number 31. And I've done a cheat thing. I have gone through and seen what's coming up instead of like the other times when I just sort of went with the flow. So first we're going to go to the Tsavo National Park in Kenya. It celebrates Africa's most successful elephant rehabilitation program. I love elephants. I think they are the coolest creatures. Very, very smart as well. So welcome first to everybody that is watching on Facebook, on TikTok, on YouTube. If you're watching the replay, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining in. Okay, so the Tsavo National Park in Kenya, the African savanna elephants went from vulnerable to endangered in 2021, which put them on the International Union for Conservation of Nature's red list for possible extinction. I was sort of like, elephants extinct? Are you kidding me? No way. This cannot happen. But in Kenya, the elephant population has grown by 21% since 2014 to a total of 36,280. Almost half live in Tsavo, home to Africa's most successful elephant rehabilitation program, this Sheldrick Wildlife Trust. I'm like, I got to go visit this place. I love elephants, and if there's a way I can just go volunteer for a little bit to help these elephants, that would be awesome. They've released 200 orphan elephants into the wild. They've got 120 still in their care, and they run anti-poaching teams, build water sources, and secure vulnerable boundaries. The Wildlife Trust also manages 6 small eco-lodges, which provide local jobs and help in its conservation work. In 2024, the trust will open the first lodge next to the, Nulia Rhino Sanctuary, dedicated to saving the critically endangered black rhino. I love the black rhino. I love rhinos. They're awesome. They're unicorns. Did you know rhinos are unicorns? Okay. They don't have a single corn. They have a couple of them, but still. Anyway, on to number 32. We're looking at Brasilia in Brazil, which is actually the capital of Brazil. It is, most people think it's Rio, but no. This one here has been the capital since 1960. So that's a lot of years. They're getting up there in the years. They've got all this beautiful modern architecture and technology going on in this place. They've got the presidential palace is there, which has been closed to visitors for a decade, but will reopen early this year. Another symbolic change in the area is the recent removal of barriers that, since 2013, have surrounded the presidential office, different to his residence, offering greater access to the reflecting pools and arches. Oh, that sounds really good. So that would be another good place to go. El Salvador. I have heard a lot about El Salvador. I would love to go to El Salvador. But it's known to savor the local flavors of corn, coffee, and more in a fast-changing country. So it's been going under a lot. El Salvador's security situation has drastically improved, opening up large areas of the country. Long-ignored hotels and restaurants are experiencing renewed interest along the Ruta de las Flores, a 20-mile string of rural villages in the Western Highlands that are surrounded by coffee. Oh, jeepers. I'm going to be screwing up languages tonight, and if anybody speaks these languages, my apologies. And the accent will make it sound. Actually, the accent might make it sound improved. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Coffee fincas and pine forests. Yeah, that sounds about right. But yeah, so they're going through this huge change there. They've got coffee shops there that promote small farm growing with native varieties. They've got crafters. I love going to places where you can buy local crafts from local artisans. I love those types of places. There's actually, if you're in New Zealand, just hopping back to the Pacific for a little bit while we scroll to number 34, in the Marlborough Sounds, they down near Napier, they have this art tour. You've got the winery tours that you can do, but you also have an art tour that you can do. And the art tour, you go and visit these local artisans at their studios, and it could be anything from ceramics to pottery to paintings, wood turning, wood craft, wood carvings, anything. And you go visit, and most of the times it's just a barn or a shed in their backyard. That you get to go and have a look at these things, and they do you get some beautiful work from and it's just visiting the local artists, and you get given a map to drive around, and you get told which ones are open, which ones are closed. But anyway, enough of New Zealand. We're now on to number 34, which is Kolkur in Cambodia. It's a vast 10th century temple complex that gained UNESCO status in the fall of 2023. And it is, hang on, I saw this. It says, the heart of the site is a 4.5 square mile cluster of temples, notably a 7-tiered pyramid known as Prasat Thom, along with statues, stone carvings, and artificial ponds and vast trees whose roots intertwine many of the crumbling structures. And Siem Reap, Cambodia's second largest city, is the best base for travelers. It's roughly 70 miles to Kolkur, around 2 hours by taxi. Siem Reap is also home to the brand new international airport and a crop of stylish homegrown crash pads. But it says crash pads here. Like Babel Boutique Hotel. And if you're not intimidated by crowds, Angkor Wat is just down the road. So, but I love history. Okay, this is another one I'm going to probably screw up. Vestmannaeyjar in Iceland. It is, you take a low battery powered boat to the world's largest puffin colony. If I have never, have I seen puffins? No, I haven't seen, no, I saw one in a zoo one time, I think. Oh, maybe I didn't. But I have seen lots of pictures of puffins. They are the cutest little birds. They're really cute little birds. So it's actually, you actually take an electric ferry, battery operated, from Iceland's mainland to this small archipelagical, also called the Westman Islands, off the country's south coast, where the world's largest puffin colony has turned residents into active conservationists. I was looking at this word and I go, I know what that is. Sorry, I was just looking at this word and I'm going, I know what that word is. Why can't I say it? The archipelagical was unaffected by the mid-December volcanic eruptions elsewhere in Iceland. From May to September, the main island becomes a favorite weekend destination for Icelanders who fill up sleek villas during their frequent concerts and festivals, while cruise ship passengers can be seen racing around the outer islands on rib boats, visiting the beluga whale sanctuary and riding ATVs. So there's all sorts, and you've got artisan bakeries there and craft breweries. And this is also known as the food capital of Iceland. So not only do you get to see puffin birds, you get to experience food in the food capital of Iceland. Then we have Montevideo in Uruguay, and it's South Africa's most laid-back capital, turns 300. It's viewed as one of the most progressive natures. Weed and same-sex marriage are legal, and its electrical grid is almost entirely powered by renewable sources. That is cool. Almost entirely powered by renewable sources. Excellent. Love that. It has a reputation for being on the quieter side, but as a city of 1.4 million celebrates 300 years, this is the perfect time to fall for Montevideo's more suitable easygoing charms. That would be awesome. They've got a specialty wine there called Tannat. Yeah. They also have, now this was really cool, also have the world's longest carnival with 40 nights of parades and block parties from starting on January 25th of this year. 40 nights of festival. Wow. With parades every night. It's more affordable and family friendly than Rio and no less glittery. I like that. Then we've got Mustang in Nepal. It is a remote citadel of the Tibetan culture that cracks open the gate. It's nestled on the Tibetan plateau in the northern reaches of Nepal, and the ancient Himalayan kingdom of Mustang is a bastion of traditional Tibetan culture, preserved for centuries by its remoteness. Now a new 183-mile road linking the region to China, as well as the gleaming but debt-saddled and increasing continuous international airport in Pokhara. Both projects are backed by Beijing. How cool is that? We'll give travelers easy access to sites like the well-preserved medieval forests of Lomandhang to Upper Mustang, which was a restricted area for tourists until the early 1990s. They got some cool tracks and mountain trekking and all that sort of thing as well. Yeah, they've got, if you're planning on going over there and doing any mountain climbing and all of that over there, please know that they have new trekking rules, which require hikers to use local licensed guides or porters, and easier to follow by offering a range of tours with certified guides. So, yeah, just be aware of that. Vienna in Austria is number 38. I loved Vienna when we visited there. It was awesome. Went to the Schönbrunn Palace. That was amazing. But Vienna overall was a beautiful city to walk around, and absolutely loved it there. They've got the grand reopening of the city where the waltz became famous. After a 3-year, 100 million euro makeover, the wine museum dedicated to Vienna's history recently reopened with a free permanent exhibition that chronicles its hometown's rise from Roman military camp to an imperial capital to a city that is constantly ranks among the world's most livable. That is going to be awesome. I mean, I would love to go and see that. But this is the home of Johann Strauss, who composed the Blue Danube and the unofficial anthem of the city, and can waltz over to the House of Strauss, a sparkling new museum that opened in October 25th. Yeah, that would have been Strauss's 198th birthday. And they've got, and for the competitive dancers, July Eurogames, one of several LGBTQ events planned in the city this year, will draw thousands of I'm reading what it says here, thousands of queer athletes to face off in the ballroom, as well as other sports like tennis and basketball. I know some people don't like certain words, but I just read exactly what they have written. Brisbane, Australia is number 39. This is one city in Brisbane I have not been to. It's got food and art and amazing views, and it's actually the home. It's actually going to be the host of the 2032 Olympics. Summer Olympics going to be held in Brisbane, and it's currently undergoing a facelift with $3.6 billion of expansion of the Queen's Wharf area, set to partially open in 2024. So if you're down there in 2020, you'll get to see some of the stuff that's already completed. The development includes restoration of historic buildings, 4 new hotels, parks, and public spaces, and an 820-foot-long sky deck with bars, restaurants overlooking the Brisbane River. Whew, that's going to be awesome. Let's see. There's more than big development at Agnes, a restaurant with a rooftop bar. Chefs are renowned for their skill in cooking over open flame. Oh, I love that. It is going to be so much fun there this year. They've got, let's see, where was the other one I liked? Rounding out the cultural experience is the Brisbane Powerhouse, a 1920s power station reborn as a cultural hub, the site of the Melt Open, a celebration of queer arts and artists, and the Vertigo. Now, get this. This one scares the crap out of me. Just reading about it, I'm like, I don't know. I'm definitely not doing that one. And Vertigo restaurant, where harnessed and clipped in diners eat while dangling 4 stories above the ground. Can you imagine that? You're 4 stories above the ground in a harness, feet dangling over, I don't know what. supposedly enjoying a meal while you do that. And after dinner, they can abseil down the building's exterior. If I was the adrenaline junkie, then yeah, I would probably give that a go. I'm not that much of an adrenaline junkie, and yeah, that one kind of scares the crap out of me, to be honest. Number 40 on the list is Pasadena, California, an artsy, walkable corner of Los Angeles County. It's worth the metro ride. You can take the metro out there. They've got this natural beauty. It is clear as soon as you roll into town. I have to tell you, is it Pasadena? Yeah, Pasadena is where they have the Rose Parade, isn't it? Where they do the Rose Bowl Parade. Yeah. And then you've got, there's a place there. It's called Fairfax Pharmacy, and it's on this. It's a corner store. It's an old-fashioned soda fountain place. And we went there one time. There was Brad, myself, and his two oldest boys. We didn't have the youngest one with us. And the youngest and the middle son had his now wife with him. They were just dating at the time. We went into this place and we picked up the menu because we'd been to Philippe's down by Union Station in LA, which is a really cool French dip place. They're amazing. Oh, their roasted lamb sandwich. Oh, mouth's watering already. And so we decided to go for ice cream after that. So Brad and I had heard about this place on one of the Food Network shows. And so we decided to find it. So we found it and off we went and got there. And we sat down at these two little cafe tables. My husband was 6'5". So, and his older son is 6'4", and the middle son is I think around 6'1" or 6'2". So they're big guys, right? And then there was me, and then there was my daughter-in-law. And so we sat there and we went through the menu. We decided what we wanted. We ordered, we each ordered our own sundae. We had no idea how huge these things were going to be. My daughter-in-law was the smallest, tiniest person that was there, and I've got this photo with this sundae in front of it. It was literally this high. It was massive. There were 3 big lumps of vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry ice cream with whipped cream, or then the whipped cream was all over it. Then it was a banana split. She got the banana split. And then there was, of course, the pineapple drizzled over it, the chocolate drizzled over it, the strawberry drizzled over it, and topped with cherries and all of that sort of thing. She probably ate not much of it. I got, what did I get? I can't remember which one I got, but it was probably one of the smallest sundaes it was the smallest sundae out of the 5 that were on the tables. Ash had the biggest one. I had the smallest one, and the 3 guys had the in between sizes. Well, then the 2 sons came over and started helping Ash eat her banana sundae, and the banana split sundae. They're getting this thing down. We had empty plates. We're putting globs of ice cream onto these empty plates. There was no bananas to be found, none. But I just couldn't believe how big this thing was, and but between the guys and her, they made a really, really good dent in this. And this was after the guys had eaten their own sundaes as well. And mine was really good. I think it was a Heath sundae. It had Heath bars in it. I think that's what I had. But yeah, so that's Fairfax Pharmacy in Pasadena. So anyway, they're talking here about the Angeles National Forest. You've got the Norton Simon Museum, the Pasadena Playhouse. I have heard really good things about Pasadena Playhouse. Never been there to see any of the plays that have been on there, but I have friends who live out that way who love going there. You've got the PST Art, which is a Getty Museum project. If you've never been to the Getty Museum in LA, well worth it. And then they've got some really good food and food places out there. Okay, next we have, now this one is going to be a little on the, I think it's this one. Let's see. This one here, we're going to Egypt. Oh, yes, it is this one. This one you're going to have to be a little careful of because the Red Sea right now, there's a lot of, not the sea, but there's a lot of turmoil going on in that area. And a lot of cruise ships are not going into the Red Sea area. They're actually diverting and doing cruising to different locations and stuff. They've actually cut out the Red Sea because of all the turmoil that's going on there, and not the water turmoil, the political turmoil. But at Hurghada in Egypt, you can dive into the underwater world of the Red Sea. They've got the Great Fringing Reef, which remains abundant with the marine ecosystem that includes 40 types of sharks and 400 coral species. And so that's one thing that you can go and see there. But like I said, in that area with the Red Sea, there's a lot of political turmoil going on in there, that the cruise ships are not sailing that area. They're actually changing their itineraries. But they are keeping an eye on it, because there's some world cruises that are including the Red Sea, which is going to be taking place, in a few weeks. That's the area that's supposed to be in a few weeks. And one cruise ship I heard, I can't remember which one it was, but they're on a world tour, and they actually had a vote amongst the cruise passengers. We can't go in the Red Sea right now. This is what's going on. It's going to be too dangerous for us to go through there. So here are your options. And they actually took a vote on where they were going to cruise to next that would avoid the Red Sea. I thought that was pretty cool. Instead of them just going, we're not going that way, we're going to go this way, and the passengers are getting upset, they decided to take it to the passengers and said, here's your options. Okay, so number 42, we're almost there. Boundary Waters in Minnesota, a protected watershed. And this one here, let's see. So this one here, last January, Interior Secretary Deb Haaland signed an order that bans toxic mining on 225,504 federal acres within the Rainy River watershed in northern Minnesota for 20 years. And that was the good news for the 150,000 annual visitors who paddle the Boundary Waters canoe area wilderness. So, yeah, so it's protected for the next 20 years. May get extended, but you've got lots of different, it's also habitat for bears, wolves, lynx, and lots of conservation stuff going on there as well. Let's see. The next one is Thessaloniki in Greece. An ancient seaside city gets decked out in rainbows. Oh, I didn't see that one with the rainbows. What are they talking about the rainbows? It's the second largest city in Greece, as the Acropolis. Oh, hang on. The squat round water tower is to Thessaloniki, Greece's second largest city, as the Acropolis is to Athens. The structure, built in the 15th century under Ottoman rule and once known as the Tower of Blood, was renamed and painted white in the late 1800s by a prisoner in exchange for his freedom. Okay, you're not afraid? You're painting the tower. The tower will glow with rainbow colors, representing a different kind of liberation this year, as thousands of LGBTQ travelers gather from June 21st to 29th to celebrate Euro Pride. Cool. That would be awesome. So there's where the rainbows are going to be in June 21st to 29th. The city's chance for a redo after the pandemic scuttled its turn to host the event in 2020. So there you go. This is one place I definitely want to go. Normandy is number 44. Normandy in France is celebrating the region's role in Impressionist art movement. And that's from March 22nd to September 27th. You'll be able to go to the Normandy Impressionist Festival. It will celebrate the region's centrality in the lives and works of the movement's major figures. And Paris will also host numerous events as well. So if you are into the art world, this is going to be a great place to be, to see some great artwork. And you may even pick up some artists that you didn't know about. They've got black ink, but then they changed the colors of the backgrounds. Okay. So number 45 is Grenada in the Caribbean. White sands, the underwater art on the island of Timeless Chant. They have all these statues underneath the water that you can go scuba diving around and things. And they say here more flights from JetBlue, Virgin Atlantic, and Air Canada promise easier access to the Caribbean island nation, but you may never want to leave. That sounds cool. They've got a 28-room Silver Sands beach house that will open in February. And later this year, Six Senses Las Sagisi will offer 56 suites and 15 villas, each with a private pool. And then you've got submarine visits that you can do to visit the underwater sculpture park. where there is now 32, it had a recent upgrade with 32 new pieces of art. That sounds really good. Oh, hang on. Don't miss a tour of a rum distillery, a chocolate company. That's what caught my eye, was the chocolate, or a spice garden. I'll just go stay at the chocolate company. Thank you very much. There's a good reason Grenada, which celebrates 50 years of independence this February, is known as the Spice Isle. All right, coming in at number 46, we've got El Camino de Costa Rica, a coast-to-coast trek with cloud forests, local chocolate. We're back to the chocolate again, and more. I'm going to have to do like wouldn't that be cool? A chocolate tour of the world. Go to all these different places where they have chocolate factories and stuff and sample them and then rank them as which one did you like the best. But imagine coming home, you'd want to bring home samples with you. Of course, you have to bring home some samples so that friends back home might be able to try some if you are willing to share. I'm a chocoholic. I don't. So this is a 174-mile cross-country hiking trail that connects the Caribbean and the Pacific coasts in Costa Rica. And it became easier to navigate last year. Organized into 16 sections, the trail knits together 25 rural communities and terrain that ranges from beaches to cloud forests. The full hike can take from 11 to 16 days, and along the way, travelers pass through the indigenous areas and can hire members of the Kabaka, I think that's how it's said, community as guides. The trail also traverses national parks and sanctuaries that host dazzling birds like the resplendent Quetzal. I've got no idea what type of bird that is. Quetzal. I'm thinking that might be some sort of parrot, I think. I don't know. So you can book hotels and stays and all of that along the walk as well. Number 47, the Albanian Alps. I'm guessing the Albanian Alps are in Albania. Rugged peaks where hikers wander in shepherd's room. I like that. I like that. It's a remote mountain region in northern Albania known as the Accursed Mountains or the Albanian Alps, although it also reaches into Montenegro and Kosovo. For years, the enhanced hikers seeking serenity among its peaks. It may not be peaceful for long because budget airlines like Ryanair and Wizz announced new routes to Albania, making its glassy lakes and miles of relatively untouched trails more accessible for explorers looking for an affordable paradise. So get in quick before they do that. Once reachable only with a four-wheel drive vehicle, the northern village like Theth are now more accessible by a narrow but paved mountain road. Also, drivers may still need to wait for a passing cow or two. They're just waiting for a cow or two. In New Zealand, you're waiting for sheep. There's a lot of them. Especially when the shepherds decide to move their sheep from one paddock to the other and they've got to go across a road. You could be sitting there for a while, depending on how cooperative the sheep are being that day. And there's farm stays and guest houses along the way as well. Whitehorse in the Yukon is number 48. The Northern Light viewers, a warm welcome to the remote capital. So Yukon, that's up, yeah. I was in the Yukon, but not at Whitehorse. When we went on Alaska on a cruise, my husband and I, we went and saw this interactive play that you can do in Skagway. And as we're buying tickets, the guy sold us he says, if you pay this price, also get a 2.5-hour bus trip afterwards. And we were like, okay. And the bus tour took us up through this canyon on this road that winded, and we stopped and took pictures of waterfalls along the way. And where the road was on one side, on the other side was the rail track for the trains that went from Skagway all the way up into the Yukon to the Whitehorse area. And so we basically were on the other side of the valley going up these roads, and we get to the top there and we passed from Alaska into Canada. And to do that, think of a toll booth. There is a toll booth sitting there, each with an arm on each side that goes up and down. And there was a single guy sitting in this little toll booth in the middle of nowhere. We had driven, I think, like 30 minutes north of Skagway to get to this area. And he's just sitting there twiddling his thumbs, I guess. I don't know. But he's just in this toll booth in the middle of nowhere. And he raises the arm, waves to the bus driver. We go up, we do a U-turn, we come back, and there's this big, huge welcome to Alaska sign. And so all 15 of us, it's a small bus, could sit 20 people, but there's 15 passengers on board, get out, and the bus driver plays photographer for everybody so they can all get their picture taken in front of the welcome to Alaska sign. We all get back on the bus. We then And he could have just driven. This is so funny. He could have just driven off this way and not gone past the booth, but no, he comes back around, gets onto the road, so that when he gets to the booth, the guy just raises the thing and lets him drive on through. But he could have easily just driven around that whole thing from where we were with the Alaska sign. It was hilarious. But that's as far into the Yukon as we got. We didn't get up to the Whitehorse. But Whitehorse is the capital of the Yukon. It's the territory in northwest Canada. Great for viewing the Northern Lights up there as well. And there's other things that you can do up there. There's places that you can canoe, snowshoe, fat tire bike, not flat tire. Jeepers, that would be awkward. And there's a lot of different flora and fauna to be seen as well. Yukon Brewing offers beer with freezing for the Gather Cafe and Tap House, which shares space with the Glass Blowing Studio and the Woodcutter's Blanket, serving craft cocktails and microbrews in a 1930s log cabin. That sounds really cool to go to. So, yeah, there's so many cool different places around the world to go to. Now, let's see. We have Shoquiro. Oh, I've totally scrunched that one up. Shoquiro. It's in Peru. It's an archaeological wonder reachable only on foot for now. And they say, as the tourism industry is recovering from the pandemic losses, Peru was gripped by anti-government protests that led to the shutdown of Machu Picchu. And this is the lesser known archaeological site that you can go and visit. And it's one site that is considered for expanded tourism infrastructure is this place. Another spectacular Inca citadel. It receives fewer than 10,000 visitors a year. The catch, it's a 3 to 4 day trek to get there. And the government announced last year a $200 million investment in the site with a plan to build a cable car and improve trails to boost tourism. So a window may slowly be closing to reward the spirit of adventure with it. So if you want to get in and still do the 3 to 4 day hike in there, go do that. Get in there and go do that. Where are we on time? Oh, we're almost there. We're almost done. So number 50, is Dresden in Germany. The romantic landscapes and an avant-garde treasure trove in the city long on the mend. It was all but leveled in the Allied firebombing in 1945. Dresden has been rebuilding for decades. Now with the historic center's major restoration programs nearly complete, the city is ready to fate a favorite son, the archetype. Oh, jeepers, I can't speak today. The romantic painter Caspar David Friedrich, born 250 years ago in September. He's been celebrated across Germany, though Dresden, where he spent most of his creative years, is throwing the biggest party. Starting in August, the museums will pay tribute with a joint expedition. They're serious fans, whether of his work in particular or the romantic landscapes in general, will want to follow in his footsteps along the Elbe Valley trails where Friedkin lore-loving guides. Sounds good. I'd have to go look up that artist because I'm not familiar with a lot of artists. I'm not familiar. Ooh, I'd love to go to this one. Number 51 is the Monarch Butterfly Biosphere Reserve in Mexico. And as many as a billion monarch butterflies overwinter every year in this green forest of fir, juniper, and pine trees in central Mexico. After decades of falling population numbers, the beloved black, orange, and white insect was classified as endangered in 2022, by the International Union of Conservation for Nature. Really? Wow. The 39,000 acre reserve has 6 sites where visitors can hike into the forest and see the clusters of butterflies perched high in the tree canopies. Each sanctuary has a different appeal. The Rosiera sanctuary is near the historic mining town of Angangueo, with quaint hotels like Rancho Cumbre Monarch. Yeah. That one is a 2-hour drive from Mexico City. Overwinter season is from November to March. The ideal time to visit is midweek when the sanctuaries are less crowded and less noisy. So you may be able to not only see butterflies, but also hear their collective flutter. How cool is that? And the last place, we're down to number 52 on this list. Yay! Thank you all for hanging in there over the last 3 nights for this. All right. So this last one is Flamingo, Florida. Rediscover the beloved lodge in the heart of the Everglades. The vast beauty of Florida Everglades is perhaps best appreciated at night when the national park is all constellations and creatures. Ooh, constellations and creatures. It's the creature part I'd be worried about. But for those who don't care to brave the elements or the mosquitoes, yeah, I don't know what it is, but mosquitoes seem to love me. I actually have a little pocket-sized sonic device that I put on, and it keeps the mosquitoes away. It's really cool. I can't find how to get them anymore. But for those who don't care to brave the elements or the mosquitoes while camping outside or in an RV, it has been impossible to stay anywhere with air conditioning since 2 hurricanes destroyed the park's only hotel in 2005. That changed in November with the reopening of Flamingo Lodge, now elevated and made out of sturdy shipping containers. Cool. I'll tell you, shipping containers are very versatile. There's a whole shopping mall in Christchurch that they, so that businesses could get back together after the earthquake in 2011, they bought in all these shipping containers and made the shopping mall out of shipping containers. And each shipping container was a different store. Some they joined together to make a bigger store. Some they used as coffee places, coffee shops and all of that sort of thing. And it was only supposed to be temporary, but it became such a popular destination for tourists and stuff, they've kept it. So this one here, the Flamingo Lodge, now elevated and made out of sturdy shipping containers. Awesome. A renovated visitor center and restaurant have been built to better withstand sea level rise caused by climate change. Excellent. So yeah, you get to go see birds and stars and fish. You can go fish there as well by the looks of it. And it's about 2 hours by car from, it's at the southernmost tip, 2 hours by car from Miami. And if you're lucky, you may spot flamingos in Florida Bay. That's what it says. So that is our end of our list of 52. Thank you, everybody who has joined us over the past 3 nights to come in and see these different, what destinations are out there in 52 that according to the New York Times, because it's actually from the New York Times, 52 places to go in 2024. There's a lot of festivities going on, a lot of celebrations going on. So there's plenty that you can choose from around the world to go and see and do. So what countries are on your bucket list? And is there some celebration that is taking place somewhere in the world that you want to go to? Some festival that they're having? It could be a celebration. I mean, you got the Olympic Games coming up this year in Paris. So do you want to go to Paris during that time, or do you want to avoid it and go either before or after the games? So you get to decide. It's your trip. When do you want to go? And talk to your travel professional about making customized vacations for you. So if you don't want to be on a bus tour, then talk to a professional. Travel professional and see if they can help create a customized tour for you. It could be a self-driving one. It could be one where you're using public transportation to get around. In Europe, it's very easy to get around on their train system that they have. So you could even take trains from one city to the other and not have to drive anywhere. When you're in a local city, you could use their local transportation that's there, like buses. I know when we were in Budapest, I don't know if they still have them, but we bought the 72-hour Budapest card because we were there for 3 nights. And that 72-hour card allowed us unlimited travel on their train, their trams, and their buses and their trolleys. And we could go on the Budapest side or the Pest side. We could go all over Budapest on their public transportation system by using this card that we had, which made it very, very easy. The card also gave us free access to some of the museums and galleries and gave us discounts on admin fees for other venues and places as well. And not only did it give us discounts on the entry fees, it also gave us discounts in their stores as well. It was a really cool card. Trying to remember how much it cost us. It was for 3 nights, and I want to say it was around 40 euros for the 72 hours per person. I thought it was really, really reasonable, and we went everywhere with that thing. We would go out of our hotel, and we're staying in the courtyard in downtown Budapest, and it was across the road from McDonald's, so we could watch people coming from our room, watch people going in and out of McDonald's. And then you went past, and we're on a kind of almost like it was a weird intersection, because the corner's here. There's a road going directly across over here, so it was a 4-way intersection, but it wasn't exactly like a normal crossway 4-way intersection. There was one street came this way. The street opposite came down, so you kind of had to go across the road, across that way. And then there was a street that went straight across the middle. And we were on that corner. And so we could look straight down. Our hotel room looked straight down the street across from us. And that's where all of the buses and the trams would come out from. There was a depot down there, and they would all come out there to start their routes. And there was McDonald's on the corner, then our hotel. And then there was another corner that had the train station and the metro station in it, along with the bus stop and the tram stops and all of that. So we could go out of our hotel and pick which transportation we wanted to go on. The cool part was we didn't speak any Hungarian. And so we would get on, and they'd be rattling off all the names. And I had, being the planner that I am at times, I had looked up to see, all right, this is where we're going to on the map. What is the nearest bus stop, tram stop, or whatever to it? So what name do we have to listen for? And when we got in, and we knew which stop we were getting on at. So when we got in, they have, like in most metros, they have the map with the little dots and the stops and their labels and things. And so the first thing I did once we got on the tram was that when I sat down, I looked up at the thing, figured out, okay, there's our stop there, and we're going to this one. So we've got 4 stops. It's the 4th stop. So we would have to count the stops and try and figure out how that word was said. And then when they said, we're like, got it. And we would get off there, and we just had like half a block to go to get into the market. It was awesome. But every night we would go down to the trains, and we'd get on the trains and would take it down towards one of the squares where they had the Christmas markets on. And then we'd have dinner down there in the markets. We'd wander around the stalls, because there were more booths open at night than there were during the day when the tourists were around. So you had a lot more local artisans and a lot more local food vendors out in the evening time as well. And they had these big, long picnic tables with all these bench seating across them. And so it was community eating. It was just find a seat and sit down. And you could join in the conversation if you wanted to. You had families out there. You had, groups of friends out there. You had people who had never met each other, because you could see them all shaking their hands and, introducing each other around and that sort of thing. It was the most amazing experience. And then we just walk back to the train. We'd get on the train and go back to our hotel. And it would be like, I think it was like around 10 o'clock at night, we were going back to the hotel. And we felt completely safe in the city. Didn't speak a link. And the only time that we had a problem with the language was one of the vendors had this fish sandwich on display. And I thought, and I wanted a fish sandwich that evening. And but it had onions on it. I'm allergic to onions. And so I was trying to explain to this woman. And so this woman could hear the issues we were having. And she said, excuse me. She says, may I be of assistance? I happen to speak both languages. I said, yes, please. I said that I would be truly grateful for that. And so I explained to her that I wanted the fish sandwich, but I didn't want any onion on it because I'm allergic to onions. And so she translated that for me. And the woman behind the counter looked so relieved that she finally understood what I was going on about. And she was like, yeah. And so I got my fish sandwich, no onions, no smell of onions on there. So they weren't pre-made. They were cooked to order and all that. So that was pretty cool. But that's the only time in our entire travel time that we were in Europe doing the river cruise for the Christmas markets and stuff that we had any language problems. Most of the time when we got to places, people spoke English. So that was very helpful for us. But I did have with me, and I don't have it out here, I have this, you can buy them online, and they are these foldable laminated cards, and you can fold them down. They fold down to postcard size, about not much bigger than a 4x6 postcard. So they're probably like 3x5s or something. And it has international graphics on there. And all you do is you just open up and you can point to the different things if there's going to be a language issue. So that was very, very helpful to have that. But I never once had to use it. So because most of the areas we were in were main tourist areas, and and most of the people there spoke English. And at one point, I was in one store buying something, and the woman spoke to me in German, and I was trying to figure out what she was saying. And I looked at the total on the register, and she says, "Would you like it in English?" I said, "If you wouldn't mind, I would appreciate that. Thank you." And so she gave it to me in English. And so because I couldn't read the screen very well to figure out how much I had to give you in euros. So and so she was, they were very pleasant, very nice, very accommodating. But in every country, when we were sitting down in a restaurant or something like that, funny. We were sitting down in a restaurant like that, and I would always try to engage the wait staff, and I would always ask them myself, "How do I say this in whatever country we were in?" And they would tell me. I can't remember now. This was 2011, and so how do you say thank you? How do you say hello? How do you say have a great day? Things like this. So we would ask the wait staff how to do this, and they were very accommodating and helped us and helped with pronunciation. And so as we went around that particular area, I was able to say hello in their language and thank you in their language, which made me feel better, and it made them appreciate it more because we're making an attempt to learn their language. And instead of some people, like you get the tourists from the travelers. The travelers will always want to blend in. The tourists stick out like a sore thumb and want everything to be exactly the same as back home. It don't work that way. But anyway, that's it. I've kept you guys long enough tonight. We've done 52 travel destinations for 2024 according to the New York Times article. There are some amazing places in there. I've added more countries and things to do to my bucket list. How's your travel bucket list going? Mine seems to be increasing rather than decreasing because I haven't been traveling for a while. But anyway, go out, have a super fantastic sparkling evening, and we'll be back tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific. Hei konera.